What's up, Juventini? Welcome back to the AJ's Here channel dedicated to Juventus, and I wish it was a victory show. However, not the case. Another draw. We have been getting a lot of those. I've been hearing, seeing all the comments out there. Juventus FC. Okay. But let's hash it out this morning. I got Anthony with me and making his debut, joining us today, Paolo. Paolo, how are you doing, brother?
Ciao, ciao, ciao. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, we have a little bit of a tradition here, and that is whenever somebody makes their debut, we love to hear how they became fans of Juventus. So please, share with us your story.
It's my dad's team. It became my team. Ever since I was a little kid, I'd watch the TV and I'd see those striped shirts running around the field, and that became my team. My dad's a Juve fan. He's from Trieste, so up north, Juve's the team as well, and I've just been a fan since I can remember. So I support the Bianconeri.
We have another tradition here. After our 7th draw of the season, the new guy has to go streaking. So,
yeah.
Oh my god, it is Halloween.
That's the other podcast. Sorry, my bad. It is Halloween. So if you're not looking forward to candy tonight, you are not a living, breathing human being. I am so excited to get some free. Well, my kid's gonna get candy tonight.
You're gonna raid your kid's stash. Yeah, so there it is.
I send her back to houses that give out full bars. That's the trick or treat tax.
Early bedtime tonight, sweetheart. Early bedtime. While Skanga's just sitting there on the couch, stuffing his face. There we go. All right, everybody. So before we get to this match, which honestly, from the green room, we could see how almost confusing it is to try and tackle what the hell exactly is going on. Okay, you can see it in the header there. Why is Juve on tilt? Everybody's got their thoughts and feelings on this, and we're gonna go through everyone's thoughts and feelings on what exactly is happening and why seemingly the wheels have come completely off this thing. And now all of a sudden we went from maybe one or two things we needed to clean up to a list. But in the news headlines, there's not a whole lot there. Okay. Media and everything right now is just doing the same thing, analyzing what exactly is going on. They're making comparisons to last season, to last several seasons, etc. It's a mess. We're not going to do all that, maybe. But as far as Douglas Luiz, he's the only real bit of news that's out there. Potentially this weekend against Udinese, he will return. Nico Gonzalez, we're also waiting, could potentially come back. All right. Now, in terms of this match, we start with the starting lineup because I didn't have a whole lot in terms of before the match, in terms of thoughts or changes that we needed to make. Yildiz was rumored to be starting again, potentially for Vlahovic, but he started off the bench again. That was really the only one I saw a whole lot of discussion about. And of course, Danilo being in there yet again. We all said it. Needed to be 3 points. This game had to be 3 points. Okay. Cambiaso, Gatti, Danilo, Cabal, Locatelli, Thuram, Conceição, McKennie, Weah, Vlahovic. Now, I did the preview show with Luca. Everyone knows how I thought about the lineup. That was exactly as rumored by Sky, but I want to get your guys' thoughts. We're going to kick things off with Paolo. What did you think of that starting lineup going into this game?
I thought, I kind of think you need to start your best. I think Yildiz had a great run when he came in against Inter. I think you need to have a guy with that kind of talent starting every game. Kalulu has to be in there, in my opinion. I know this guy needs a rest. He's coming off injury. He's been playing great. I think you need him in there. I think you need to start your best possible 11. And when Coop's healthy, he's going to be one of them every game, especially now that you need 3 points and you're already into the, almost done the first quarter.
Yeah. And Skanga, what did you think about that lineup? Looking at it before game.
I'm just going to disagree slightly. Parma stink. What was it? 3 games? Well, hang on. 3 games they didn't score coming into this one. These are the games where you're supposed to be able to cycle through your lineup a little bit.
Yeah.
Hindsight's 2020. Yeah, you start Yildiz. I get it, but so now you go Udinese on Saturday, and then Tuesday Champions League, and then Saturday Torino. That's the run where you start Yildiz 3 games. So I can see what Motta was doing. You want to give people rest. This is the game you should have done it. This is the game where your semi-starters should be able to get the job done.
Yeah. I mean,
while you should start them, it's a little bit on the players to not get the job done.
Yeah. Udinese 5-1-4 will should present a bigger challenge than Parma, who was sitting 17th.
Exactly.
That couldn't. With Luca and I talked about it. They were carrying 29% possession in some matchups with some really, really low teams in the table. This one should have been a controlled victory for Juventus. We should have made this a straightforward game. And if you can't rotate in this game, and this is part of this problem that we're going to talk about as we move forward, that opens up a disaster scenario. And I don't think it's an over-exaggeration to say that yesterday kind of turned into a disaster despite being 2-2, a draw and everything. And we could talk about this unbeaten run in the league right now. That actually was a bit of a disaster yesterday because it opened up almost a world of issues right now going on. And it doesn't feel like all the positives at the start of the season kind of feel almost like they're wiped away. It sucks to say it.
There's some, Lou brought up in the chat yesterday. He said, we lost the Scudetto yesterday. And I'm like, pump the brakes. But these are the games that at the end of the year add up to not being able to compete to it. I'm not going to say we're out of the race, but this is the one you put asterisks beside to say, that's one right there.
It's one of several. When you're looking at 6 draws, 4 wins, 6 draws so far this season, it's just added to the list in those draws of winnable games, right? And we'll go through the highlights here. We'll go through feelings as this game kind of played out and progressed. But there's trends. There's trends and this is not the first time we've mentioned these trends here. A week ago, I spoke about the trends I was personally seeing that I didn't like, and the bigger concern here is these games are at home.
Yeah, that's probably what hurts the most.
Yeah, it's like you're at home, like you gotta bag the points in these home matches. I can have a little more leeway if you're away from home and maybe you got some struggles and everything, but we're not getting the W's in our own house. And these draws that could easily go the other way, like yesterday, is another one to add to the list. But we'll kind of rip through highlights here really quick. I mean, holy smokes. Del Prato, 3 minutes in. This was brutal. Obviously, a brutal start. You're down 1-0, 3rd minute in. But crossover, Weah, not really good positionally to defend that. And Gatti looked asleep at the wheel. Del Prato there, uncontested, heads it in. Di Gregorio, that's a tough one to get to. Quick reaction there. Locatelli keeping them on side. He was well behind everybody. I'm not sure what he was. We were asleep at the wheel to start a game against the 17th side in the table in our house. I've spoken about it forever now. Why can't we get the jump and play properly? Why do we have to consistently react? That's on Motta, everybody. That's on Motta for me. Okay.
Yeah, you got to come out of the box strong. You can't be. We're coming out too slow to the gates. You don't win the Kentucky Derby by starting last out of the gates.
Yeah, I don't know. That's one trend I absolutely can't stand. And I will place that, as I always have historically, on the coach for the the approach and how you're coming out of the gates. Motivation, call it. Is
Our
that
first
fair?
15's been bad. Yeah, our first 15's been bad almost all year, and we're not great finishing a game in the last few minutes either. So
Yeah. Yeah. Work to be done for sure. And that's 3 minutes into this highlight reel. Okay. So work to be done there. Now, the nice thing is we did react. 12-minute, yet a great ball forward actually from Danilo finding Weah. He puts a fantastic cross in on the head of McKennie. Big save there by Suzuki. And then this is a rebound. And this is one Vlahovic has to do better with. Missing the goal. At the moment, yeah, it's infuriating because it's another sitter at his feet. But at this point, sad to say, I almost brushed it off because I'm so used to it. I was just like, okay, well, and what are you going to do? You're 12 minutes in. You just got to keep plowing forward. But that's a brutal miss. You can't say otherwise. It's a brutal miss. It sucks.
I wouldn't call it a tap in, but I don't know. He's got to find. I'll put it this way: the one he missed. What was that sitter? The one we called a sitter, where the goal saved. Yeah, that was a tap in. That one was easier than the one yesterday.
It was easier than this one, but this one's got to be. I expect a finisher to put that in.
What I was gonna say was, after you interrupted me, was that's not a tap in. It's on the up bounce. He has to jump. He's a big dude. He has to jump to try and get to it. But he's got to find a way to put that in the back of the net. Whether it's with your knee, with your, with your nipple.
He had to jump for the one against Inter. He jumped and tapped her home. Put it home. Put it home.
You gotta find a way to put
Paulo,
it.
he's got to put that home.
Oh yeah, for sure. You're allowed to miss one every few games, but you can't miss the sitters regularly, and he's got a few that he's should have put in.
Yeah. Now, moving aside from that, because I don't want to dwell on, like I said, at this point, the guy's a friggin' enigma. He'll score a worldie probably in the next game or two that'll just blow your mind, but you'll get these mixed into it. The shitty thing is, the other goal Skanga mentioned, those are 4 points. Those are 4 points that if you add to the table, make a big, big difference in terms of outlook right now, right? So it turns your 4-6 to 6-4, which is a lot prettier in the grand scheme of things. But nonetheless, we keep moving. 30th minute, short set piece. Instead of finally taking all these set pieces and getting nothing out of them, short, Weah with a nice cross. McKennie didn't even have to get up for this one. Standing there, beautifully headed into the goal. 1-1. Okay, some relief here. We've gone
Here
level. Now let's take it to them, right?
We're rolling.
Now
we're going to roll. Not so
Absolute shambles at the back, you guys.
Not so much.
Like,
no, hold your horses.
Shambles. 38th minute. Caught with low numbers at the back. Danilo's pace is not going to be there to save the day here. I watched this play several times, and it just was a disaster. Positionally, everybody was out. Cabal could offer no assistance from where he was. But again, it comes back to one of the main things Mota spoke about. The errors and the turnovers were probably at an all-time high in that first half especially. One of the players I love, one of my favorites on the team, Cambiaso, had a disaster in terms of turnovers in the first half. He couldn't hit a pass. Yeah.
Three interceptions on 3 passes in the first half. Bad interceptions.
Like brutal ones. You had bad touches mixed in there, everything. And Parma was playing that game where they were looking to expose us on counterattacks. This one, they come back. Danilo's struggling for pace here. I thought there was a moment Di Gregorio could have attacked that ball, slid in there, got to ball first, and just cleaned it up. But on the replays, it just, I don't even know. It's like he hesitated, and then that distance was a little too much, and maybe he had flashbacks, like Anthony talked about, of what happened in that Champions League game.
Yep.
He pulled back.
He made a
Danilo,
business decision.
at that point, decides he's going to go to goal. Okay, cool. But Di Gregorio gets back between the pipes, and Danilo stands there instead of finding your target, or at least starting to help organize where the threats are.
There
The
was a threat
threat
behind
ends
him.
up being directly in his sight line.
I
And
had no
even the
problems with
players
Danilo's
coming
business decision.
back, all three players coming back, go to the ball carrier. This was a shit show of a goal that sums up this last little run perfectly. It was a shit show. And even at the end, Di Gregorio didn't see it until late, but every time you see somebody get a hand on it, you expect the save. They're all looking at each other, and that tells me exactly what I need to know about where they are organizationally, especially defensively. Your
I had no
thoughts
issues
on
with
this
Danilo.
goal, you
I
guys?
had no issues with Danilo on that goal. 2-on-1, he does the right thing. He forces the ball outside. He covers the net. Di Gregorio comes back. He covers the back. He covers the ball across the goal. When you have 5 of your teammates not cover the guy at the top of the box, you can't blame that on Danilo.
Why is he not? Why is he not saying a thing? Why is he not picking up one of the 4 guys? Why is he not? There's no direction. Like, he's not even saying. 3 guys come in and go to the ball. He still has a midfielder that slides in late there. But if you're a defender and you're watching that, he's obviously not trying to organize it. He didn't even look there in the play. He's staring at the guy with the ball that's got 3 guys in front of him. Are you scanning?
But they were all looking at the guy with the ball. There
As
was
soon as
5
help
Juve
came,
in there.
as soon as help came to the
Yeah,
ball
but 2
carrier,
wrongs don't make it
he
right.
put it
Like,
back.
who's gonna pick that guy up if he's back to goal, facing the play? Do I expect him to pick up? I would. If you see 3 guys coming in, you're standing in a spot you don't need to be there anymore with Di Gregorio. And if you want to hack on Di Gregorio, do it. Why is he not pushing Danilo forward too? Everybody's caught watching. Everybody there. It's a mess. But what I hated was Danilo consistently putting his hands up throughout this game. It drives me absolutely nuts. Putting your hands up. He's asking questions of other people there. To be fair, Gatti was brutal this game too. They're a mess back there. They're a mess back there. But I had problems with not McKennie. McKennie is the only one I'll probably give a clear on that because he immediately went to close off the lane. He was the first guy there. He immediately went to close off the lane. If Danilo wants to stand where he's at, well, you got to make a decision. You're either going to go help support McKennie so in case he gets beat inside, you're there. Danilo doesn't do that. So, of course, the players that come back, one of them looks to offer a double team so that player can't do that. I have no problem with that. So down the line, it's going to go to the other players. If you're not helping, you're becoming a problem. And at some point, you're standing there. I don't know. It's a mess. I'll leave it at that. It's an absolute mess at the back. 2-1 down at halftime. Skanga, did you want changes at halftime?
Mota doesn't make changes at halftime, so I wasn't expecting them. Again, I didn't. No, I knew changes were coming, but it's just we're a second half team. It just for some reason we just play better in the second half. I don't know, whatever Mota does at halftime, we always seem to figure it out in the second half. I wasn't calling for changes. I'll put it that way.
Paulo, were you calling for changes?
Well, like Anthony says, I wasn't expecting any. I was kind of hoping for a couple, but I also, again, I kind of disagreed with some of the starting choices. So I don't like tinkering and rotating in and out players when you haven't been winning. So I knew they were coming. So I was going to wait and see what Mota would do.
Yeah. I definitely wanted at least one change. 100%. Why the hell do you need that much muscle in this game in the middle of the park? Why? What is the reluctance to kind of help with a little? I don't understand why Yildiz had to come off and take Weah off who was on a goal and an assist after we talk about the second half where we do come out and equalize through a great way of finish. Conceição again doing what he does, which a lot of this game was give it to Chico and hope. That's another problem.
Figured out. Yeah.
You know, praying to the Portuguese football gods that Chico's going to be the savior is not the answer, but he provides us with that whale with a great finish. You don't need that much muscle in a game when you have that much possession. And the funny thing was, he talked about technical mistakes and errors. A lot of it was coming in the middle of the pitch. There's certain combinations there you can't have, in my personal opinion. Ball retention was a problem. That's why I don't understand so much muscle in that middle. Do something to tip the scales. Help yourself out a bit there. It makes no sense, especially if he's going to go in the post-game presser and talk about it and how detrimental it was. Well, yeah, no shit. So if you're going to talk about it after game and spend all that time post-game talking about it, make the move. Make the move. His subs, this is not the first time we talked about questionable subs. Take the when he does them out of the equation, but it's bizarre. I don't know. Yesterday felt weird to me. Felt weird on all fronts. Paulo?
We had no possession. We weren't pressuring the ball in the first half. At halftime, I think we lost 75% of aerial duels and 45% of ground duels. We had no pressure. And I think one thing that was interesting about the first half was you had Locatelli asking for the ball and never getting it. You had a lot of guys standing. So, Danilo has the ball, Cambiaso has the ball. They're looking for a pass, a long pass down the lane. And Cambiaso or Danilo is looking at all the opposition and all their own teammates standing still, looking at them. So when you're not moving without the ball, you're not moving to open spaces. Everybody's waiting for that pass, and they were telegraphed. So we weren't pressuring, and we were telegraphing every move, and that was the biggest problem of the first half.
Well, we had possession. You had 65 in the first half. You had 58 in the second half. We had no sustained pressure. Every time Parma wanted to relieve the pressure, we could not keep them pinned. And that also comes from changes because you can't play that high line with Danilo. He doesn't have the wheels. He doesn't have the wheels anymore. That's got to be recognized. The only time you came close since Bremer has been gone is with Gatti and Kalulu to kind of play that line. You can't do it with Danilo. He does not have, and he knows it. And that's why he's not backing those players that they're hitting as a target, right? So if Parma's coming up, they're hitting their target or someone they want to use as a pivot to relieve pressure and then build up forward from that. He's not backing them. Like, these guys are having time to control, distribute again, because he knows he can't get back at the other end. So, whereas obviously we know Bremer's a miss, but we got to stop talking about Bremer because you got to figure this out.
He ain't coming back.
Yeah, like, you got to figure this out. So, Motta's got to find a way that one of the key attributes to his game, which is the high defensive line, might be gone. So you have to figure this out. So for me, it's directly related to why I say you probably can't rock that much muscle in the middle. Because if you're going to combine the two, no high defensive line to win the ball back further up the pitch, and you're making this many errors in possession, you're going to set yourself up for what we saw yesterday. It's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, I don't know what the game plan was, because you could have easily brought Kalulu into that game. But I'm spitballing here. We got 3 games coming up in 1 week. My guess is that Kalulu's playing all those games, and he didn't want to have to burn them in a game like this. Maybe he just assumed we're going to figure it out. But I think Motta played with fire a little bit there.
You're 100% right. These are the games you should be able to rotate. But sadly, yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to bite the bullet. I actually, going back to the sub thing, I said in the first half I would set the tone, and I would have made one sub in that first half because of how flat we were. And the fact you went 2-1 down and you're looking a mess, I would have. And you know what? Sometimes you got to make a statement like that. Just make the sub for the sake of making the statement. And I don't know necessarily 100% who I would have picked, but you got to make sometimes that decision. Motta, maybe a little bit too much on the player side and less on the coaching side as far as thinking. We'll tackle that on the back end of this game, okay? We talked about Weah equalizes. 82nd. Man, okay. The stats are all in favor of Juve. If we want to look at the stats in this game, you would think Parma is so lucky for a draw here. That's not the case, man. We were lucky for the draw. They countered us, and they looked like they could score almost every time they came up the pitch. 82nd minute, clear on goal for Parma, and Di Gregorio comes up big on this save.
Big save.
Okay, huge save there. 90 minute, Almqvist is clear and he ends up almost waiting out all his options on a very dangerous play in the 90th minute, and Almqvist just holds it. Eventually, Gatti sticks a leg out, and he takes a weak shot, deflects over, and I'm thinking, oh my God, we are going to lose even this 1 point at the end. I got that vibe. I'm like, they are just coming back at will. We're on complete tilt. 94th minute, the closest we come to, Cope Miners tosses one in there. Keeper bobbles it, misses it, goes behind. Yildiz. It's Del Prato, who, by the way, who is this guy? Okay, Del Prato with a flashback to Cannavaro in 06. He was blocking shots left and right. His body's probably bruised and battered today. He blocked so many. But he stops it on the line, and that pretty much sums it up. And Yildiz's reaction was all of us, and that ends the game right there.
We're not gonna shit on Yildiz for missing an open net. No, okay. We're just gonna go past that one.
Well,
that's an open net. That's a goal. That should be a goal.
What are you on? What are you on in trying to make this fight for Vlahovic, man? What are you on?
I'm just saying that everybody wants Yildiz to play. Put the ball in the back of the net. That's an open net.
The only thing you could maybe, and again, I have to watch it on replay, is if I remember correctly, he's falling backwards to get to this thing after
he's
the
falling
ball.
back, and the ball's bouncing.
And a defender actually clears it from the line.
Right.
That was going in.
So he shot it here when you had this much open.
Not missing the goal completely. Right. You could continue to make your fight for your $100 million man, but he's missing sitters. That was not a sitter.
I'm just saying.
Now
the goalies and the defenders, the blocks and the goalie saves really saved both teams. The goalies and the blocks this game.
Suzuki had one stop that was actually
you don't have to be the referee, Paulo. It's all right.
There was one save from Suzuki that was actually, I thought McKennie had deflected it. Turns out he didn't touch it, and it was the original cross. That was a big save, but overall, we had a lot of shots blocked. We didn't really test enough. And this is the same story we've heard before in all these draws. We just didn't test them enough. But, guys, okay, first of all, there's so much out of this game. I don't really think we need to get into man of the match. Okay, Paolo, name me a man of the match in this game for Juve.
Di Gregorio with that big save at the end. We're lucky we're playing teams that can't finish.
It's true.
Okay, and you know what's funny? I saw many hacking on Di Gregorio and saying major downgrade to Szczesny. I'm not there. I'm not anywhere near there at that point.
Neither am I.
But Skanga, who was your man of the match in this game?
Goal and assist. You probably got to go with Way. I thought Chico played good. I thought a lot of people were really down on Thuram. He created that second one out of nothing, right? He had to beat two guys in the middle. So shout out to him, not man of the match, but shout out to him on that one. Probably I'd go with Weah. The two Americans have been playing for their level, lights out the past couple weeks. Thank God they've been playing well, or else we'd be in some serious trouble.
Yeah, I'd probably in this one go with one of them. Either Big Mac or Wea, I think, is the standard choice. You had a lot of guys almost. The way this game started, you probably had Mota thinking, damn, I only get 5 subs, because that's how bad like the start of this thing was. By the end of it, in the second half, a lot of the guys actually did clean up their game. Cambiasso was one of them because he was on a shocker in the first half. Cleaned it up. Wea was pretty good throughout. McKennie was pretty good throughout. Thuram, I thought, cleaned things up. Locatelli got a lot of flack in this game, but I saw him cleaning up a lot and making a lot of one-touch cleanups where he just comes in and all of again we could just regroup. He also moved the ball really good in terms of progressing it forward. He made a lot of good progressive passes. And I don't even think people realized in the last game that the goal that equalized came from a great ball from Locatelli hitting Cabal in stride in the middle through everybody, through a lane of traffic, catching him in stride, and then Cabal finding Chico, and the rest is history. But I thought Loca played a good game. There was mistakes, but there was mistakes scattered across from everywhere. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of man of the match for me, one of the Americans. In terms of a flop, if we got a flop in this one, honestly, take your pick, because that one could be difficult, but I'm going to go with the coach. Personally, I go with Malta for a number of reasons, but first I want to see your flops, Skanga.
See, with the turnovers and the players not executing, I don't completely disagree with Mota, but it's also on the players to execute.
Sure.
And in these games where we haven't looked well, they're just not executing. Could come down to the game plan as well. We don't know. We're not in the change room. We don't know what the game plan is. But I don't know. I would just say that the back line wasn't good yesterday as a unit. I'll give it to them as a unit.
Okay. Paolo, who was your flop?
It's not a person. I think that demonstration yesterday was a team effort. I don't think they were prepared. I don't think we start a game looking and feeling prepared. And I'm going to have to agree with you, Bert. I think Mota's got to approach games with more intensity and get the players ready to go. We haven't seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
Same as the Stuttgart game. It looked like we came up with one game plan and then we got punched in the face. We're like, oh, that game plan is not going to work.
And look at the Lazio game when they pressed the hell out of us the whole first half. Luckily, they got a red card, and it took us forever to try and get a winner there. So
it's a number of reasons for me that it's Mota. We're going to just take a quick look at the presser and just a little bit of a blurb here. Like, we make too many errors in defense. Today, we allowed too many counterattacks. We need to press them higher up the pitch to stop these restarts from the back. And tonight, we didn't do so. Not just tonight, Thiago, okay? This has been a trend that's been coming. We've talked about it for 4 games now, maybe 5, okay? In the defensive phase, there are many things. We also need to be better in the final third as well. When I look at the issues that are there, a lot of it is ball retention. And again, for me, there came a point in this game where it was just making it easy for Parma to take over. And it's from our errors. Ball retention was key. You're taking off Wea, who's on a good game. I don't understand not wanting to play Yildiz at the 10 or at least try it. It seems very, very stubborn to me. In certain other players too, it's up to Mota to know. We can all sit here and agree, and I do agree for the most part, you should be able to rotate players in this game. But the current run Danilo was on going into this game, you got to realize that you're playing with fire and you're playing with points that your team needs and everything. I expect him, if he's going to make a decision, and then like the last game, you're going to come out and you're going to back it. You're going to back your choices, and then you're going to follow it up again. I need to see it hit, or you are going to be in the line of fire.
I think someone brought up in the last show, 2 shows ago, I think it was a Storm the Barn question. I remember it was bringing Cabal to center back and then pushing somebody out to. It was revamping the center backs to, you know, have to bring Danilo out and have some options at center back. After yesterday, Muta's got to be looking at something because we can't have Kalulu, who arguably with Bremer out, him and Gatti, that's our best. I think we all agree with that. That's our best center back duo. We can't have Kalulu sitting for 90 minutes. We can't.
Yeah. Furthermore, what's the alternative? If you lose confidence, and again, another one of these mind-blowing things why I'm really highlighting Mota. Danilo has said for as long as I can remember he prefers the right side. And you continue to put him on the left side. It's like, can we at least work with the guy if you are going to play him back there? Like, can we at least work with the players you have to put him there? Gatti doesn't give a shit. Left side, right side, it's fine for him. But you have a guy that is vocal about it in all his pressers. I feel way more comfortable on the right side. Yet you persist there. Like, I don't know. All these things add up to me. And it's just like 3 games again, 4 games. What's the alternative? What are you trying? Because we're not even hearing anything at a training like, hey, Savona's going to play back there. Cabal can play left center back. He actually can.
Okay. Going just briefly to, I know we're going to get into, I don't want to get into the weeds here. Putting Danilo at right back, does that not limit what Conceição can do moving up?
I'm just saying,
he won't have that.
In general, on the right side, I don't necessarily want him as a right center back or a right fullback. I'm just saying, playing him on the left when he like actively speaks out against it is just another one of these decisions that it's like,
fair enough. You're just looking at it as a whole.
Yeah, just in general. Why are we doing this?
Did you notice at the beginning of the game when they're coming out of the tunnel, they're all getting ready to walk out, and the shot shows Danilo at the front of the line, right, leading the team out, and he does this. He goes,
oh yeah,
a big inhale, exhale. The guy's struggling with confidence right now.
Yeah,
and as the first pass from De Gregorio to him, he takes it, and it's a turnover when he passes his first touch forward. And Locatelli's going like this to him the whole time. Give me the ball. He's pointing to a ball he thinks should go there. Locatelli's telling Danilo to send the ball there. And I think what I'm getting at here is there's a bit of a leadership issue. And yes, I think Danilo needs a break. And you put whoever in there, Danilo needs a break. But you also need leadership and control of that middle. And I'll talk a bit more about this later. But leadership issues on the field. I think
we should talk about it right now, Paul, because this came up in a lot of the comments on social media and everything, and said that this is exactly what's expected with the team Juve's built. So I saw this comment highlighted, and it also said you have young players, you have a young team, and you have a severe lack of leadership. And this particular person is attributing all of what we're seeing to this and saying this is the norm. And leadership is still suffering at Juventus. Paolo.
Oh, I think that's true. But I don't know who's going to take that mantle right now. But when I say we got to start our best 11, even though we don't have Bremer, who is one of those leaders, right? One of those commanders on the pitch. You put your best players out there and until you start winning. And then when you've got some points banked, you start to test things out and give people breaks. But when Yildiz came on the field, people start to be more focused. They start to move their legs more. I mean, we had a better second half overall. But when Yildiz comes out there, people start to move around a bit. They start to be more energized. When Coop Miners comes on, people start to focus in. And now Conceição is not trying to do everything himself. He's passing to Coop. Certain players will come on that field and start to energize and make decisions that influence everybody around them. And I think we need those players on the field to help do that. I don't think you're going to get that from Thuram, and I don't think you're going to get that necessarily from Savona, who I like.
No.
or Cabal. You need these veterans or these people who are going to dictate the personality of the team's attitude on the field to help generate that attitude.
Yeah. Okay.
I've been saying this all year. We go as Coop Miners goes. He needs to be on the field. He's going to be our general moving forward for the rest of the season. Unfortunately, he was hurt. Cracked ribs. Never had it. Berto, you said it's like the worst thing you could ever get. So we need him game in and game out. He will be our general.
I hate the thought of putting all your eggs in one basket. And it's the same thing with Bremer. I'm going to apply to coal miners too. Like, because I do agree, obviously, you need your best players in the lineup performing and playing. But if that's not going to happen or you have to deal with it, like I am questioning how it's being dealt with by Malta is basically what I'm saying. I'm not at the point where we got to pull the pitchforks out, okay? No. But I am definitely questioning him on how he's managed. It's been like, and this one wasn't even the worst yesterday from Danilo, you guys. It wasn't the worst from Danilo. Not even close.
No.
So again, think about that. That was not the worst. It's been worse, and we still don't have that alternative. You still don't try that alternative. We saw Cabal get benched after a good positive start to the season for a significant period of time before he gets back at left back. We heard Mota talk a lot about, well, I see him more as a center back. So you're like, oh, okay. You see him as a center back. Gatti and Kalulu right now are doing well, filling in. Well, here you are on the back end of disaster after disaster after disaster. The guy that could offer some relief that you always claimed was a center back, more of a center back, but you still haven't at least tried that. Ball retention an issue. You talk about up top, all the mistakes in the final third. You've got Keenan Yildiz that can potentially unlock something in Cope Miner's absence. I am looking at this coach to pull up for the lack of leadership maybe on the pitch. Somebody's got to grab the fucking reins, boys. Somebody's got to grab the reins because right now we're on tilt. Like,
but is that on? Okay, hang on. First question: does everybody in the chat know what it means to be on tilt? Because I don't think they do.
With the pinball,
I think that's. I saw you put that. I'm like, there is no way everybody understands. People were Googling what that means. Anyways. But is it on Mota to bring that out of somebody, or is that on the players themselves to come out and say, I'm going to take this by the horns. I don't need Mota to tell me what to do. So I get what you're saying, but it's also on the players someone needs to elevate to that.
If those players aren't cutting it on the pitch, who's the guy making the call on the potential repairs on it?
Who came first, chicken or the egg? I get it. All right.
Because my thing is, before we get to Paulo here, my one thing is, and this is my feeling, nobody has to agree with me, he's looking at it too much. He's giving these guys too much leash. I think he's still looking at it from a player perspective. Right now, you need the coach to come through. Not these guys' best friend, not this guy's player. We need a coach right now. And right now, I think he's looking at things and giving guys way too much leash because he's looking at it from the player's angle. That's just the vibes I get. Paulo.
I was hoping not to use the C word, but Conte would not, and I'm not saying Conte over Mota, but Conte would not tolerate some of the tinkering or some of the fussing about on the field from the players. He would get them out there and get them the most prepared. And I think Mota, who I'm thrilled to have as our coach, I think Mota has to get the guys prepared. And I think it's on the coach first because things trickle down from the coach. And I think it's on him, and he probably would agree. But it's up to Mota, I think, to get things sorted out.
I think yesterday was the first game that I actually felt the majority of your starting lineup was garbage, like just the way they started the game. Not saying his lineup was a problem, but when that many guys are struggling from the start of a game, I look at these guys that run it, the coaches and everything, because if you're there training day in, day out, like, I expect you to make the proper calls, have the best decision, have them set up the best. If you have that many guys off, are these guys just all too tired? Or is it fatigue? Are they just drained?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe we're looking too far ahead. The games come. Maybe we overlook Parma. We haven't said that. Maybe we look past this game. Like, oh, this team stinks, which they do, but not yesterday. But I think that's another thing. We look past our opponent.
Yeah.
Same with Stuttgart. I thought
There's
maybe
questions coming up, and this is just it. Why is Juve on tilt? What is the biggest hurdle at Juve right now? There's several, unfortunately, that are opening up for us. The whole mindset has completely shifted. We went from cleaning up one thing to really taking that next step. Now, all of a sudden, I'm no longer worried about just breaking a low block. Now, all of a sudden, I'm worried about everything. All right, how many goals are we conceding in a game?
I'm not quite there. I'm not in the panic mode yet. I'm not saying you're in the panic mode. I'm
concerned. I have more concerns now.
I'm not even there yet. We've had a lot of injuries. People are, I think, underestimating how big of a loss Bremer is. I don't think people fully grasp. Like, that's a massive loss to your team.
Of course it is.
Got to figure it out.
Exactly.
I think once we get players back from injury, we don't even have a backup to Vlahovic. Like, can we please acknowledge that as well? Okay, maybe it's Yildiz, who knows? I still think we'll figure it out. I'm still on we'll figure it out. Once players start coming back from injury.
I was really excited at the beginning of the season. I was happy with the transfers. I was happy with what Giuntoli had done. We went into those first couple of games. Our preseason wasn't great, but we went into the first couple of games and looked really good. And then things kind of started to move down and started to get a bit dodgy. So I think where I am now is I'm not as high as I was before, but I'm not going to get too low. I think we're starting to see that we're imperfect and there's work to be done throughout. Obviously, we can't lose a Bremer, and we have. And I think Douglas Luiz is a guy who was a big signing, and he was supposed to come in and be part of our solution in controlling the middle. And when you have the middle in control, when you have someone like a Pirlo who can just say, give me the ball, everybody react to me, I will get things moving. Give me the ball and I will get things moving. When you get that middle sorted out, it helps everybody else kind of pick their spots. And I think Luiz, for me, is hopefully part of the solution because right now he's not. And I think we need some of that as we figure this out.
To kind of play off of this, okay, I love the thought process of, oh, once the guys get fit, we're gold. Great. I hope that's the case, okay? Fucking hope so, okay? But sometimes, you guys know me, I'm not rainbows and butterflies, okay? Listen, I think there's a disconnect because the drop-off is what concerns me. The drop-off. Like, if you're going along, and Bremer didn't just bail out a game ago, 2 games ago, okay? It's been, how many games? 5? 6, something like that.
4 or 5.
So it's this ability to be here, but all of a sudden, like way, way below where you were at before. Coming up with more and more issues to fix, and the injuries have been the same throughout that period. What I am concerned about and why I'm focusing on Mota quite a bit right now is because I get this sense or this feeling. If your system is working properly, if you have that dialed in, you understand who your 1-for-1 trade-offs are in the lineup. That is where I feel the biggest disconnect is. And I talked a bit about this with Luca yesterday in the pregame, is that I don't get the sense, and we don't have to talk best 11 because he's got some guys on the shelf that easily make that best 11, but looking at it at a really basic, fundamental level, once you get your setup rolling, And if we felt we were here, even in the absence of Bremer, and we just had to clean up a few little things. But all of a sudden, if you get to here with the same amount of players available to you and everything, there's something bigger that's an issue that's going on there. I talked about him maybe keeping himself too close to the players, looking at it from a player's perspective, one way or another. My concern is you get Colt Miners back, but there's still this relying on certain individuals to take you the rest of the way. Injuries are still going to happen. So if every time this happens, are we going to get ready for a complete drop-off here? Because it seems to me this understanding of who takes over certain roles isn't really lining up for me.
So, but what if your one for ones consistently get injured? So like your backup, the guy you want, isn't like your main backup to that position. So he's trying to fit players maybe into roles that he wasn't expecting. I just think, and I do disagree that one player can unlock this team. I think Colt Miners can unlock this team. I think we're underestimating how much of an impact he can have. I think with him, Yildiz, and Vlahovic, I think this team gets unlocked up top. With 65% possession, we're not completely lost. We're doing some things right. A lot of mistakes. Anytime we have games like this, it's just mental mistakes. So we can put that on Mota, we can put that on the players. I don't think we're as low as people are making it out to be. And to Paul's point, we're not trying to get too high. And I see a lot of people in the chat here talking about, is it a rebuild? Is it not? New coach, new players. We do have to give them time. I don't think we're as low as everyone's panicking. I think once we get some players back, I think some things will get unlocked. I'm keeping the hope alive.
It's not too low. I just don't understand certain.
Like, what's our lighthouse? What's our benchmark? Because one thing I haven't seen, except maybe a bit with PSV, is our best game. Like, what's our best setup? What's our best game? What do we have? What's perfect that we can try and maintain consistently? And I don't know if I've seen that yet.
I think we've seen bits and pieces. Like, I think Cambiasso and Conceição should be the right side. Cabal should be the left side. However, the center backs, Gatti and Kalulu. On the left side,
Yildiz.
We haven't seen Yildiz as a 10. Colt Miners can play anywhere in the middle. I'm not worried about Colt Miners. But you still have certain glaring questions that remain in this lineup that you haven't really bothered to help. And I see issues, basically, and I don't see everything trying to solve them. That's the easiest way I could sum it up. So, too low? Not too low. Concerned? Yeah, because I think there's a serious drop-off that shouldn't be. Because everything's remained the same. I'd love to just stay where I was earlier on with this team. I really would. Everybody knows me. Usually I like to be optimistic. I don't know how long I've been doing predictions, since 2019. I've predicted like one loss, okay? In the Champions League matchup against we know who. Anyways.
I've never predicted a loss.
Great.
4 years.
And that makes perfect sense. But here we find ourselves. It's moving in the wrong direction. And I think everybody's feeling it. And if you're talking about a guy that's leading us onto the pitch, taking a deep sigh right before he gets out there, that's not one of many signs I see right now. Gatti's whole thing, Paulo, you brought up a great point in a comment. Maybe something is going on personally because him and his wife just had a child. That can be, while an amazing event, changes your world when you have your first kid. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but even he looks off. And we had that moment, and not a lot, but there's quite a bit of smoke around something going on. But you had guys. My point is, you had guys that were on solid trajectories. You're going to get ups and downs, dips in form across the lineup. You're going to have a few guys that go up while others kind of drop down, and then they level off, and then these guys go up, these other ones go down. Like, that's going to fluctuate. But when all of a sudden the group collectively is taking a dip, that's where my concern levels lift. Because it's yesterday, 2 games ago, it's a lot of them that were on a dip all of a sudden. I don't like that. That's where I start to get concerned, and that's why I'm looking at Mota. That's the easiest way I can explain it. Too many players. And I want to keep it consistent with the last guy that took a lot of friggin' heat. Okay? Because it was,
we don't talk
it
about
was the same. I gave him the same criticisms, and I'm going to keep it level. That I have certain things I look at a coach, and Mota will be treated the same. He will be treated the same. So for me, he's a flop. He's a flop yesterday. I expect better. Storm the barn. Who knows what we got in here today?
Pump the brakes.
This Juve has the same tendency of being over dependent on individual brilliance of players like Conceição, like they did with Fede. Thoughts? Who wants to kick us off? Are we the same tendency?
Don't most teams rely on their best players or their better players to come up with moments of brilliance? Isn't that like common?
Where's the line of, I'm just asking, I'm just spitballing, but where's the line of separation on relying too much on them and using it as part of your system? Like, where do you make that separation, right? Because you do want to get your best guys in moments where they can do damage, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, are we unbalanced that it seems like it's all one player? Does that just mean that we're just not balanced across the lineup?
I thought we were relying on him a little bit too much yesterday.
I felt that way too, to be honest.
Going back to the well too much. It's like, oh man, we did this with a bunch of players in the past and it did not turn out well for them.
And then I think you started to see as the game went on, Chico started to do way too much, tried to do way too much, right?
And we've seen that with Chiesa, just holding on to the ball, doing it all himself.
Yeah.
We don't talk about him here either. Sorry.
Oh, that's another C word. I think Suarez makes a good point. I don't think we've seen our perfect setup yet. Nope. I think there are some holes. I think we are relying on individual performances to take us through. We're undefeated, which is great. But if people in Serie A, but if you look at the teams that if they could have finished, the record would have been different. And when you look at the games and how they played out, we've had some scary moments. So I think our setup as a team is vulnerable and unfinished business. It is kind of a rebuild, and we are relying probably on individual moments more than we should, because the team as a whole isn't a machine that's running well right now. And that's when you need individuals to bail you out. So I think Swart's right. I think we're relying on it.
So maybe there is a systematic failure there that we are switching. Like, I don't know. Like, to me, yesterday felt like we abandoned because if Mota's going to come out in a presser and say, this is how we want to play, this is our game, and we're going to keep doing it, that actually scares the hell out of me. That scares the hell out of me if a game plays out like that, where you start going wide open and, excuse me, Parma looks like they're going to be the one to blast 5 past you, and you're not going to make changes because you believe in that. That's terrifying to me. I might be the only one, but it's a little concerning. The individual stuff, I think, I really do feel like as a whole, maybe the balance wasn't there, and that's why we saw, hey, go to the well, like Ant said. Give it to Chico and let's see what he can do. When Yildiz came out there, he was getting a lot. He was getting the ball a bunch, and he didn't look sharp. Had a lot of bad touches, and again, I think it's the nerves, it's the moment. It's like 2-2, we want to win. His touches were brutal for whatever reason. a lot of yeah.
I'm gonna put a little bit of this also on chemistry. Like we haven't seen the same 11. So again, I get what you're saying. I don't want to completely dismiss the system in Mota. I'm not trying to do that, but we haven't had a consistent lineup. We haven't had all the players on the field that we purchased this summer at the same time, have we? I don't think that's happened once, right? The new players that come now. Good thing Weah and McKinney have stepped up, and players like that. Conce Sal, oh my God, thank God they've stepped up. But that's what keeps me from bottoming out here is that we still haven't seen all those players that we purchased consistently on the field together at the same time. Constantly tinkering, putting players in and out does affect the chemistry. Now, I guess a team like Parma, it shouldn't matter. I get it. But we still need for me, I think we still need a little bit of time. But yesterday, yeah, we kept going back to the well, and it's never a good point.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling right now around this team. Yeah. I don't think we know what to expect. We don't know what Juve we're going to see. It's all still pretty new to us with this group of players, with Mota. But again, like you implemented so much. He implemented so much so quickly that it gave us this feeling like, wow, yeah. Look at how much of his game is coming through.
Attacking football. Holy shit.
As time has gone on, I think now we're seeing a struggle for balance and maintaining balance. That's the easiest way I could put it. And I don't know. I honestly think that everybody's thoughts, it's not an easy one-word answer. Like it's a combination of everything we've discussed. There is a lack of leadership still that creeps up. There is a lack of chemistry that needs to be sorted out. There is a large group of young players that still need to grow.
Who've been playing well, has to be said.
Yeah. It's a combination of all these things, and these ups and downs are going to happen. The frustrating thing about all this is that, again, you're not far removed from 4 points, 6 points. That drastically changes the outlook, right? But it's how these games have played out. Because if we look at all this, yeah, I feel fine. I'm probably sitting with you, Amp, like, yeah, you know what? Look at all this. This is great. This is cool. But when you watch the games play out, and a few of them and how they played out here, especially yesterday, it makes me a little more on the concerned side of things. I just remember when coaches were being discussed, we were looking at potential changes. Remember what I always said? Like, I don't want the guy that comes in that can't adapt when he has to. I don't want the guy that says, this is my game. This is what we do no matter what. And that is why, just in the back of my mind, yesterday, and the words, the way he spoke after the game, I'm not going to say arrogance, but it left me with this feeling of like, is it determination? Is it just like he's hell-bent on sticking the course no matter how far things drop off, either in a match or through the course of a season? It's just got me thinking. That's all. And I'm not going to take it and just run with it.
You might.
I'm just thinking about it, and it's in the back of my mind. I'm not running with it. But it's one of the concerns I had with a coach coming in. I never would have expected to get that vibe from Mota. But it's something I'm watching now because it just gave me like a hint of that feeling. But again, do I want him to bail right now? No, it'd be way too early to bail on that game right now. But from a game to game, one thing he says that I agree with 100% that also ties into him is this team struggles tremendously with managing moments. I don't think any of us can disagree with that.
No.
How could you? So This again, in playing to my point, managing moments in a game also does not relieve the coach of managing the moments in the game. We went on tilt yesterday. We went on tilt. Did we need to adapt? Did we need to do something to adapt to change it? I'm looking at him. I'm looking at him for that. So that's all I'm saying. It's one to follow. It's one to follow. And naturally he will be followed. It's not like he's going to get a free pass for 3 years. Maybe he will. I don't know. Harp on Thuram for this and that. But at least he tried to push the envelope centrally. Who was harping on Thuram?
I think the group chat was.
Oh, okay. Centrally, that's a big problem right now. They are over-reliant on perimeter play right now, and it's predictable.
True.
I'm going to be quite honest. Offensively, just even adding Conceição, Weah's been playing much better as of late. I think offensively, you can sort it out. I'm not having this issue in these particular games with how much we use the middle of the pitch and everything. I have no problems with Thuram, other than the fact combinations. If I'm going to talk about midfield, combinations are the big key there. There are certain players I don't think need to both be on the pitch. I talked about this yesterday, or for yesterday's match. But predictability, I think, kind of goes away when you got guys that are good at 1v1s and stuff on the outside.
Talent will overpower predictability. And Paulo mentioned that at the beginning with when you get that player, locking down the middle. When you have that player in there, it doesn't matter.
The back end is where I'd say we really need to shore up. The back end. I'm not that concerned offensively anymore, really, and that's just because now the back end is the higher priority. Deschiliopa. What a name, Opa. Deschiliopa. Why did we get rid of Rugani, and should Muremovic get a call back to be our young backup defender? Sorry if this is not correct. No, it's all good. It's all good.
That's fine. You're good.
Rugani. Should we recall Rugani? It's not going to happen, apparently. But
it's not going to happen. We don't do that.
I wouldn't have gotten rid of him. If you're asking me straight up, would I? I said this at the time. I would have liked the numbers. But
fully agree. You and I were like, he's a sixth option center back. What are we doing here? He wanted to stay.
Yeah.
His loan didn't help.
It was just a loan. It's not even that we sold him. Paulo, where were you on the whole Rugani?
I think he would have been a better option than Danilo yesterday. If you want to give Danilo a break and get his head together, I think you could have put him in then. I think you could have put him in a couple of opportunities this year so far. He doesn't have the grinta. He's not a real attitude force. But I think you know what you get with him. He's reliable. He's flexible. He'll do what you ask. So I think Rugani would have been had purpose. He would have been useful.
Yeah. It's
I think that was
it's a tough one
for a lot of people.
And for the record, for anyone tuning in, the reason I say it just ain't gonna happen, his agent literally painted that picture for us. Rugani's agent flat out came out and said the club, Juve, and the player have completely different perspectives and outlooks. So that pretty much squashed that. But 2 defenders is a must in January. If you ask me, 2 defenders is a must. And again, just for the sake of bodies, okay? If one of those guys is Skanga, do it, okay? Just do it.
I'm ready.
Pierre, for the record, I have faith in Mota. Well,
we all do.
Nobody's given up faith. Is what we're seeing also a consequence of Mota's either reluctance or inability to okay, well, that's kind of what I was saying. But you guys, hey, I don't want to be the one.
We'll let Paulo tackle this one first. Yeah,
Skanga's gonna give you the Kool-Aid, okay? But Paulo, what do you think?
I think it feels like Mota's been playing around for 10 games. I want him to settle and to be more determinative of what he wants to do on the field and with who.
Okay.
Listen, Swery, I was alive when we went to Serie B. All right, so settle down. Um, I, but like, okay, hang on. We're we're right there. Like, okay, now offensively, we just need to figure it out. We have to shore things up defensively. Like, what? I think his plan is working. It's just execute. Like, just execute. I'm put on players. You got to fucking execute. We're not executing.
You mean
Whether that's
you
Vlahovic
mean
or
scoring tap-ins?
Oh,
I'm just
and
saying.
Yildiz. Damn it. I promised
This is
myself I wouldn't swear.
anyways, I wanted to fire that jab in there just to prove a point that it's a combination of everything.
It's a combination of everything.
The players do have to execute, but to Pierre's point and everything I've said this show, I do want more from Mota than just this is it and pushing it forward. Like, you have to adapt, you have to change. And highlighting how both of you felt. Because even I felt it. We know you're not getting a halftime change yesterday. You just knew it. But that, for me, is wrong. Because I think everything in that game screamed to try something else to put you over that edge.
I agree with that.
Ball retention was definitely one of them. I think either Fagioli or even Yildiz would have provided a lot more in that regards in that game earlier on. Definitely. So it's a little bit of everything. But if we're right there, was like this, and now I feel like it's like that. But we're right there. We're right there. Dels, do you reckon Juve will make a bid for Bernabe? He was outstanding yesterday, and I think would really help us control games. Also, you think Chico should have switched wings? Koulibaly was immense. I did feel like Koulibaly did a really good job against Conceição. I was surprised. Very surprised. I don't know if I would have changed that up because I think the only thing I was thinking is Yildiz in a 10 role that entire game. I don't know why. They were doing good job on the flanks. And Weah still had a decent game. Conceição was still at least keeping them honest, drawing double teams. And that's why I was thinking, if they're going to work this hard to work on Conceição, bring Yildiz in, plop him in centrally. You still have your threat on both wings, and Weah was playing good enough. Get Yildiz in there and give yourself that extra little edge there. In and around the area, they can focus on trying to shut that down, send the extra bodies, and then boom. You've got Cambiasso, you've got Yildiz. We can make something happen. I just feel like we tried to push with bodies rather than do it in a less impactful way to the guys at the back. So that's just spitballing there. But as far as the move for Bernabe, let's wait and see because we're linked with a ton of names. He
sounds like a Pokemon villain.
That's like a what?
Pokemon villain. I don't know.
Were you a big Pokemon guy, Skanga?
I have no idea anything about Pokemon. No clue.
Hey, knees. If you love Dusan so much, why don't you? Oh my God, Justin, just being silly here. Come on, Justin. What is this? What is this? Thoughts on people already calling our summer signings for flops? I've seen Digre, Taram, Co-Miners, Luis, and Nico. It's all been called flop. No, we'll do a flop for a match. I ain't ready to put a flop tag on anyone. Like, the season's so long. Yeah. Remember what we talked about earlier? Fluctuation in performance. A guy that's down now by the end of the season could be balling out and huge. So, no chance. No chance. Tuna steaks. Yeah.
Still the best.
Do you bench Duchamp? Okay, so we got to talk now about Duchamp because he's been obviously at the forefront of a lot of discussions. And people are saying he just simply needs a rest. Like, you just have to rest him for a few games. Duchamp, do you bench him against Udinese? Get Weah in at the 9, as well as Yildiz, McKennie at the 10s. Also think Adzic needs some rotation into this midfield, need more energy. Adzic would have been also a decent shout yesterday if you did want to put Yildiz on the wing. Something to just kind of break up that muscle in the midfield. It just had a weird feeling yesterday. But do you bench Dusan
Dusan's still,
against Udinese?
Dusan's still our leading goal scorer, right? Okay. And last year? Yeah, okay. But to answer the question, yes, I would. I wouldn't start him against Udinese because we needed him to start against in Champions League and Torino after that. So I would not start him.
Okay. Paulo, would you bench him?
I wouldn't have started him yesterday.
I would have actually been fine if Yildiz was going to try out that false nine role, to be honest. I will agree there. Paulo, you benching him?
No way. I think you get your best guys out there at the beginning of every game, try and get the lead, and then give them a rest at the 70th minute or whatever. Once you're up 2-0 or 1-0 or you have a 2-1 lead. No, I need to see our best players out there until we start winning and start looking consistent. So no, I would not bench any of those guys. Not
Do we remember one other comment that comes in when we talk about this and benching him is that the match against Inter, when we brought in Mbangula and we essentially saw, all forwards playing without a true 9 up there. There was a lot of fluidity between Yildiz, Mbangula, even McKennie getting in there. And some say that will offer more in the grand scheme of things to Motta's system. But I'm going to say that Inter match was a lot of space. A lot of space. I wouldn't buy into that just yet. But yesterday, again, presented a moment where Motta could have attempted to find out what that alternative is. Because I don't believe you could just roll Vlahovic every single game. You just can't. So if you're asking me, did he miss a opportunity to maybe see an alternative? I think yesterday was a good moment to try that. You think so, Paulo?
Yes, and I love to see the young players or options get their chance. So maybe in the 80th minute, 75th minute, you bring in an option for Dusan because he does need some rest, at least some rest each game. So I would have liked to have seen Adzic or somebody come in or some shift.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I just, again, I don't know. I don't know if Motta's second guessing himself or what's going on. Again, giving these guys so many moments, opportunities, etc., to try and bail themselves out, that player in them. And I know that you want those guys to get the benefit of the doubt because we are going to rely on those guys. The bigger names on this team, you're going to rely on. So I can see Motta's point of view too. It's very complicated. It is not easy. It's a juggling act. And right now, we just need to clean things up. Let's see. Starting lineup against Udinese. Keeping in mind Lille. So what would we do at the starting lineup for Udinese with Lille on the backside of it for Champions League? At the back, I have absolutely zero doubts, okay, in what I would do. Okay? Absolutely zero doubts. I don't care who's the game after. I don't care who it is. It's Di Gregorio, it's Cambiaso, it's Kalulu, it's Gatti, and it's Cabal. Absolutely zero doubts, okay? Absolutely none. In the middle of the park, with everything I'm seeing right now, Locatelli will start for sure for me, okay? Absolutely starts that game. The other midfield positions really depends on how fit Cope Miners is. Because even with Lille on the backside of it, if Cope Miners can play, we're going after the 3 points, and we need the 3 points. I understand Champions League and what's going on the flip side there. Domestic is priority.
It is.
I'm going to say that right here, you guys. The league is priority. And right now, the points we have surrendered is far too much already through 10 games. It is the priority. If Cope Miners is fit, I start him. Locatelli, Cope Miners, and right now, I'm fine with one of Thuram, Fagioli, or McKennie, any one of those other players that you want to play next to them in that game. But with Locatelli there, I don't usually like to play Fagioli at the same time. So I would actually go with one of McKennie or Thuram. Up top,
I think McKennie's earned it.
Conceição.
And you know, with McKennie, you're going to get 65 minutes of pure effort and hustle.
Yeah.
And he's wise. He does some things that you need from a guy with his experience.
And up top, Conceição, Yildiz, maybe Weah up top, and switch things up a bit.
You son of a bitch. I don't disagree, though.
Maybe. But I probably still lean to Dusan because I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But maybe I shouldn't. Maybe that would be my mistake. And maybe if I was the coach, I'd be ripping myself the next day after making that decision on this show. So we'll see. But that's the way it goes. It's not an easy gig. Everybody knows that. It's not an easy gig. I'll keep a few more rolling before we wrap up here. For all of those that clamored so much for Thuram, what's the difference between him and Rabiot? You know what? I don't understand why we got to go so hard on certain guys. When I actually like Thuram quite a bit, but again, going back to everything and the combination in the midfield kind of changes everything in general and the roles. I still can't tell you on a game-to-game basis what Mota wants out of Thuram. I can't tell you from watching.
Agreed.
Does he want him to drive the ball forward out of the midfield and actually get high advance? Does he want him to be one of the stabilizers next to Locatelli? I can't tell you what it is in that role that he's being asked. So is that because of Thuram and a misinterpretation? Is it because of a Mota and not organizing the guys well enough or preparing them well enough in a game? That's kind of how I feel. I'm not sure what his job is when he's out there. And I don't know. I'm not even going to blame anybody. It's just that's the way it's played out for me. But I don't fault the player. But that's the vibes I get. Do you guys feel the same way?
Well, I was just going to answer the question directly. The difference between Thuram and Rabiot is one wants to be here and earn an honest paycheck, and the other one doesn't.
Good answer. That's true.
So
I like Thuram. I think he's got a lot of potential. I'm excited for what he can offer. I don't think he's ready yet. I don't think he's ready yet to start. And I think your answer is correct, Bert, in that I'm not sure when I see him on the field walking around sometimes, I'm not sure if he's quite sure what he needs to do.
Yeah, it's
but I like him.
Yeah, I think the potential is huge. I think he's showed like his chops and what he's capable of. I just think there's clear role definition issues there that have to be sorted out. And again, the combination, like I said, I don't feel necessarily McKennie and Thuram is a mix I personally like. I think it's either or personally. So we'll see. Let's say Coal Miner starts versus Udinese. Do you keep faith in Weah on the... Well, we talked about that. Points now critical in league. So Yildiz would be my pick above Weah, but I'm not opposed to Weah maybe up top to change things up. But I don't know. Where are you guys at with Weah? Weah seems to be this guy that a lot of fans still just have zero faith in and whatnot. He's on 2 goals, 1 assist past couple games. McKennie's on 1 goal, 2 assists. Like the Americans are doing well. Where are you at with Weah?
I think when people's agenda gets busted because a player starts playing well, they're like they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do with their hands. They're like, I don't know how to complain. I don't know how to type complain because a player is playing well. Like he's playing well. Like hopefully he gets more minutes. Unfortunately, Yildiz is a better talent, and Conceição is playing better.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, he's behind 2 guys that really should be starting in front of him. But when he does play this season, he's playing well. So he's deserved minutes.
I think he's playing great.
I agree.
Yeah. Weah on the left field as a striker? I would do that
And he's
too.
healthy.
Yeah.
I think he's a great sub. I think Weah is a great sub. I think Yildiz is so dynamic. You've got to start him every game.
Yeah. That other one, like I said, Weah on the left, Yildiz on striker. I'm open to that for sure. For sure. I'm open to that. If we scored the first goal, if we scored the first goal, what do you think would have happened at the end in terms of result and performance? If we scored first goal yesterday, I have no idea.
I don't think Pottman was changing how they were playing. I think they were coming at us regardless.
Yeah, and remember that feeling against Inter that it was like, okay, we're 4-2 down, but there's still a lot of space. And I called them arrogant for it. I was like, that's pretty arrogant of Inter. They wanted to crush us. I had that feeling yesterday. There was too much space, way too much space for both teams. Like anybody could have friggin' scored, and Parma looked like they were going to score every damn chance. Is Weah better on the left than the right? I actually think so far in the short term, these past few games, he has looked better on the left. But I think I've been happy with Weah in general. Like I haven't had too many problems. I think the entrance in the Champions League match when he first got back right from injury, he looked pretty off. But I mean, not to be unexpected with just coming back from injury. So Luca, this one always comes up. Luca as center back to never field Danilo again. So Locatelli's gotten a lot of shouts at center back. Guys, if we're complaining about Danilo's pace, I'm not going to put Luca's pace at center. I do not see it happening. In a 3, in the biggest of all pinches. Maybe, but he does not have anywhere near the pace to play at a central back role. Not for me. Paulo, Luca CB.
Well, I want to avoid that. I want to see Luca settle into a really strong commanding role in the middle and just focus on that.
I would put McKennie at center back before Locatelli.
Do you guys think
serious?
We should sell Vlahovic in the summer and get Gyökeres from Sporting? So I'm going to twist this a bit because the season's so early and, it's easy to get at guys in Harper. And I want to go a little bit lighter on him for Anth's sake, okay? So let's twist this up a little bit. Let's say a healthy offer comes in the summer. It allows Juve the opportunity to go out and find somebody else. Would you take that move and try a reset at that position? Or would you stand firm with Vlahovic? And keep in mind, everybody, you're trying to make this decision or get this answer 10 Serie A matches in, 3 Champions League matches into a season where there have been struggles from everybody showing up at certain moments through the season already. But this is the situation. An strong offer comes in, allows Juve to accept it and restart at that position. Paulo, are you taking that as things sit right now?
Wow, that's really tough.
It is tough. I don't think it's as easy and clear cut as many will make it seem, but
no. If he's affordable, I think you hold on to him. I think there's money coming from Champions League, hopefully in January, from getting to the final 16 or the final 8. If we focus on Serie A and we can make Champions League next year as well, I think we can afford to keep Dusan. And I think there's a good player there. There's some beautiful goals in that guy.
Okay.
Not easy to replace.
I don't need to ask Anga, but I will.
Yeah, but okay, does he score if at the end of the season he's accounting for 80% of our goals? Like, what are we talking about here? Is the offer 25 million? Like, what? There's so many different things.
I've got another twist. I've got another twist to this question coming.
But at the end of the day, if a sale like that is to rebuild and you can get 2 or 3 players, I'd do it.
Okay. So if we can get multiple answers, okay.
You have to look at it as a whole. Listen, you and I have talked about it a lot. we've lived through the Zidane sale. We've lived through whoever sales. We've lived. Nobody is bigger than the club. I love Vlahovic, but he is not bigger than the club. If his sale, if everything aligns, that we can sign other players. And please do not tell me Jonathan David is a 1-for-1 replacement. I am not going to do that.
No, that's
Anyways.
a great pickup though for the price. Free, if you can land that and the salary's good, that is a great pickup. But I do question the 1 status, the 1A status. I feel that's fair.
I'd like to have both.
Yeah,
But
I would like.
what if
what's the
Dusan
price?
lowers his salary next season?
The twist to the question that I wanted to ask is, again, a lot that's been put out there, that Dusan is one of the active issues with this setup and this game being taken to the next level for Malta. Do you feel that way? Do you think a different profile makes a massive difference to the overall of this team?
No, I think it's who's ever partnering Dusan is making the difference. He's on an island. He's all by himself. But when McKennie was getting forward beside him, you see what happens. We haven't seen him play with Coop Miners at any sort of. If he can't figure it out with Coop Miners, then yes, okay. I'll concede. But it's been him and 2 center backs beside him for 12 games.
Do you think a different profile goes a lot further for Malta, Paolo?
No, I don't think Dušan's really the problem. Last year, Milik came in and bailed us out a couple of times, right? So I don't think Dušan's a problem. I think there's other areas where the work needs to be done. But my one question I want to ask is, what would be the price that would make you consider moving someone like Dušan? What's the number?
Well, if he accounts for 75% of our goals, I don't know what's the going rate. You're not going to get more than 60 for him.
Yeah, what would we pay? Close to 80?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was close to 80 on Dušan, but obviously depreciation, like a used car, everybody. Okay, so you get a little depreciation there, amortization in the world of football.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see 65 to 70 to make that move. And is anybody going to come at that point? What's funny to me, and I've highlighted this, is if you look statistically at the games played and the number of goals potted, he is smack dab on par with what he was doing at Fiorentina. And it feels nothing like it. And that just is a testament to everything we say about playing at Juve and what it's like. You've got the same output, exact same output, almost on the button. But at Fiorentina, it was just boom, Vlahovic, this, that, Vlahovic. And he still missed sitters for Fiorentina. Okay? But here, it's a whole different ballgame. I don't think there's an easy answer or solution there with Vlahovic. For me, putting the business hat on, looking at it from a club standpoint, the salary's a killer. So in game, all this, again, even tying in our new coach to it, what's the alternative? Because I haven't seen a good alternative. If you want Yildiz in there, like, what, we could have seen that. We had opportunities to see that. So Malta's got to show me the alternatives. But when Cope Miners was in there, Vlahovic and him, there was a little spark. There's just a little something I need to see more of. And maybe you just don't know, but nobody's played in a role right there kind of close to him. And I will agree with this with Anthony because I need to see it. But in terms of the progress, players need to progress, Al. Of course they do. How many players progressed over the past 3 years? Give me players that progressed. Bremer.
Cambiasso.
Yildiz making
Gut
progress
step
now,
up
I'd
this year.
say. Yildiz making progress now, I'd say. Did he make a
Got to
ton?
took a little bit of a step up.
Yeah. It's not a lot.
Mm-mm.
And the fight with Vlahovic will always be the same, everybody. The fight will always be, okay, progressing now this season. Okay? So I see some names progressing now. 13 games into a season. So
Cabal, Savona.
barely any were progressing for 3 years. Not that much. Barely progressing. You're going to say he doesn't get the games this season to see if there can be some progress there. It's always going to be the same fight with Vlahovic. It will always be the same fight.
Always.
He's a problem. He's got to go. The sitters. But to be honest,
He's still our leading goal scorer.
let's just wait it out. We don't need to make that call just yet. Okay? Just yet. Last one. Would you like to see Mota try Cope Miners as a CDM? Absolutely not.
Not even in the slightest.
No.
Nope.
Paulo.
It's funny that Coop, I think, started as a defender. I think he started as a center back in his career, and like Cambiasso started as a midfielder. So it's funny the roles they've grown into. But I would not put him back. You need to have him doing whatever he wants.
He is an ass hair away from having 4 goals this year.
Yeah.
Cope Miners. Like he is a people like did we forget how good he was when he was on the field? He's had what 2 posts, a couple block shots, like
he's
dangerous up there.
Like he's no flash. He's just effective. Simple and effective player. I think if he was around these past few games, and it's not an excuse, and we need it to be better, but things would have been different if he was going steady, because you could see how quickly when he was in the lineup from game to game to game, it was getting better and better with him. The guys, there's a reason we spent that much money on him. The people that doubt him, that don't like that price tag, etc., all this, the proof is on the pitch when he's out there. Like, he is solid. He is effective. He's a good player. Right now, this rib thing, I don't like it. It's a nightmare. Even just running, the pain resonates like through your body. It's the worst friggin' injury to carry. So I hope the pain has subsided like the reports suggest, but they have no clue. Like, these guys know what he's feeling. Okay. Let's just take it one game at a time. 4 wins, 6 draws. Different outlook with the season, but you guys,
Undefeated.
the league has become priority. Udinese this weekend, just like Parma, you have to get 3 points. Mota, you gotta go against Udinese with your absolute best. The time for, messing around, taking some chances, these surprises from game in to game out with calls, no more, man. It's time to get down to business. I don't need the player's best friend. I need the coach now. Mota, looking at you. Looking at you, man. Skanga, enjoy the Kool-Aid. I love it. Somebody's got to be there. Paulo, fantastic debut. Absolute pleasure having you on, brother. Live chat, you guys are the best. You know it. And again, keep an eye on our socials. The Yildiz third kit giveaway is live. In a couple weeks, we will give away one to a winner. What was the wager Luca and I made yesterday? Didn't work. 4 goals and a win. We would have given away a kit live today. Let's keep it rolling into the weekend. But we'll go 3. 3 against Udinese and a victory. And we got a home Champions League kit to give away. Okay? Enjoy the rest of your week. Of course, I'll keep you in the loop with the news moving forward. As always, no matter what, fino alla fine, forza Juventus. Ciao tutti. Take care.